The lecture hall was huge. It could hold 500 students, and today it was almost full. Cadets from 47 different species sat in rows that curved upward like a giant bowl. Some had scales, some had fur, some had no skin at all, just floating energy inside glass suits. The lights were dim, and a large holographic screen floated at the front of the room. Park sat in the middle row, trying to make herself small. She was human, one of only 3 humans at the Galactic Defense Academy. The academy floated in space on a station called Horizon, far from Earth, far from home. She had been here for 6 months now, and every day felt like a test she was failing. The instructor walked to the center of the stage. His name was, and he was a Meridian. Meridians were tall, almost 3 meters, with blue-green scales that glowed softly in the dark. His eyes were yellow, and they moved slowly across the room like searchlights. When he spoke, his voice was deep and calm, like water moving through stone. "Today," said, "we study primitive worlds." A few cadets laughed. Primitive worlds meant planets that had not yet joined the Galactic Coalition, planets that were still developing, planets that the galaxy looked down upon. Already knew what was coming. "Our subject today," continued, "is a small planet in the outer arm of the Milky Way. It is called Earth." The holographic screen lit up. A blue and green planet appeared, spinning slowly. White clouds covered parts of it. It looked peaceful from space, beautiful even. But the cadets did not see beauty. They saw something else. "Earth is classified as a Category 7 death world," said. "This is the highest danger rating we give to any inhabited planet." More laughter. A cadet in the front row made a sound like choking. "We're large, with 4 arms and thick gray skin. They came from a warrior culture and believed they were the strongest species in the galaxy." Knew that's name. He was the one who had hurt yesterday. Touched a button and new images appeared on the screen. Earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, floods. The cadets watched with wide eyes as the planet tried to destroy itself over and over again. "Earth experiences constant natural disasters," explained. "The temperature can change by 50 degrees in a single day. The gravity is 1.2 times galactic standard. The atmosphere contains a reactive gas called oxygen, which is highly flammable. And yet somehow, 8 billion humans live there." A cadet raised one of its thin arms. Looked like tall insects with hard shells and many legs. "Instructor," it asked, "how do they survive?" Tilted his head. "We do not fully understand. They adapt, they endure, they refuse to die." He changed the image again. Now the screen showed humans doing everyday things. A woman running a marathon, a man climbing a frozen mountain, children playing with a large dog. The cadets laughed harder now. The dog looked dangerous to them. It had sharp teeth and powerful legs, but the human children were hugging it like a toy. "They keep predators as pets," said, his voice flat. "They run for fun, even when nothing is chasing them. They eat plants that cause pain to their mouths because they enjoy the sensation." The image changed to a man eating a bright red pepper. His face was red, and tears ran down his cheeks, but he was smiling. The entire room burst into laughter, even seemed amused. Did not laugh. She kept her eyes forward and her hands flat on the desk, her fingernails dug into the surface. Beside her leaned over and whispered, "Ignore them. They do not understand." Was the second human at the academy. He was tall and thin, with kind eyes and a calm voice. He never got angry, no matter what the aliens said. Wished she could be like him. "Where is?" whispered back. His face darkened. "Still in medical. The doctors say she will be fine, but they want to keep her one more day." His jaw tightened. Was the third human. She was small but fierce, with short black hair and a temper that matched. Yesterday, during combat drills, had hit her from behind. He claimed it was an accident. Everyone knew it was not. Looked across the room at. He sat with his 4 arms crossed, his mouth twisted into a smile. He caught her looking and made a gesture with one of his hands, a rude gesture, a challenge. She looked away. Continued the lecture. He talked about human history now, wars, famines, plagues. He showed images of ancient battles where humans killed each other with swords and spears. He showed modern cities that had been destroyed and rebuilt many times. Humans are violent, said. They fight each other constantly. They have not known peace for more than a few decades at a time in their entire history. A cadet raised a tentacle, were soft creatures like living pillows with many arms and gentle voices. Instructor, are they dangerous to the coalition? Paused for a moment. Something strange crossed his face. Was it fear? Could not tell. Earth is under quarantine, said carefully. The coalition decided long ago that humans should not be contacted. They were too unpredictable. Then why are there humans here? Called out, pointing at, and why do we let them into the academy? Looked at the two humans. His yellow eyes studied them like they were specimens in a lab. An experiment, he said simply. The coalition wished to see if humans could be trained, if they could be civilized. The word hit like a slap, civilized, as if she were an animal that needed to be taught how to behave. Put a hand on her arm. Do not react, he whispered. That is what they want. Took a deep breath. She unclenched her fists. She kept her face empty. But inside, something was burning. The lecture continued for another hour. Showed more images, told more stories, made more jokes at humanity's expense. The cadets laughed and pointed and whispered to each other. Sat through all of it. She did not move. She did not speak. She just watched and listened and remembered. She remembered every laugh, every insult, every look of disgust. When the lecture finally ended, the cadets began to leave, walked past his desk and stopped. He leaned down, his gray face close to hers. Tell your friend, he said, that next time I will not be so gentle. Then he walked away, laughing with his friends. Sat very still. Her heart was beating fast, but her face showed nothing. Stood up and looked at her. Are you okay? She did not answer for a long moment. Then she stood up, gathered her things, and walked toward the door. I am fine, she said quietly, for now. But they both knew that something had changed. A line had been crossed, and soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn what happened when you pushed a human too far. The next day, the class gathered in the same lecture hall, sat in her usual seat and sat beside her, was still in medical, and her empty chair felt like a wound that would not heal. Instructor stood at the front of the room, but today he was not alone. Behind him was a large machine on wheels. It was silver and smooth, with a glass screen on the front and a long arm that ended in a glowing blue light. Today, announced, we will continue our study of different species, but we will use a different method. He touched the machine, and it hummed to life. This is a bioscanner, he explained. It measures physical traits, bone density, muscle strength, neural response time, and most importantly, it calculates a threat classification. The cadets leaned forward with interest. Threat classification was important at the academy. It determined which combat classes you could take, which weapons you could use, and how other cadets saw you. Each species has a baseline threat level, continued. Let me show you. He pointed the scanner at a cadet in the front row. The machine beeped softly, and numbers appeared on the screen. Threat level 2, read, are peaceful creatures. They are not built for combat. The seemed proud of this. Its tentacles waved happily. Next scanned a cadet. The machine beeped again. Threat level 5. They have strong exoskeletons and fast reflexes. Good soldiers. The clicked its mandibles in satisfaction. Then turned to. The stood up before he was even asked, his 4 arms spread wide to show off his muscles. He was huge, almost as tall as himself and twice as wide. The scanner beeped for a long time. The numbers climbed higher and higher. Threat level 8, announced. Very impressive. are among the most dangerous species in the coalition. Smiled and looked directly at. His message was clear. He was strong. She was weak. That was the natural order of things. The other cadets clapped and cheered, bowed mockingly and sat back down. Threat level 8 is rare, said. Only warrior species like the achieve such scores. It requires dense bones, fast neural pathways, and a body designed for violence. He paused and looked around the room. His yellow eyes stopped on. Now, he said, let us see what our human friends register. Felt her stomach drop. She did not want to be scanned. She did not want to be humiliated in front of everyone, but refusing would only make things worse. Squeezed her hand under the desk. Whatever happens, he whispered, remember who you are. Walked toward her, the scanner held out like a weapon. The room was silent. Every eye was watching. Please stand, Cadet Park said. Stood, her legs felt weak, but she kept her back straight and her chin up. She would not give them the satisfaction of seeing her afraid. Pointed the scanner at her chest. The blue light touched her skin. The machine beeped. And then it screamed. The sound was loud and sharp, like an alarm. Red lights flashed on the screen. The numbers began to climb, faster and faster, higher and higher. The machine shook on its wheels. Stumbled backward, his eyes wide. That is impossible, he whispered. The screen flashed with warnings. Bone density, extreme. Muscle fiber count, anomalous. Neural reflex speed, unmeasurable. Threat classification, error. RECALIBRATING. RECALIBRATING. Threat level, unable to calculate. The room was completely silent. No one moved, no one breathed. Looked at the screen, confused. She did not feel special. She did not feel dangerous. She was just a human, just a girl from a small town in Korea who had worked hard to get into this academy. There must be a mistake, said. He checked the machine, adjusted some settings, and scanned her again. The same result. The machine screamed. The warnings flashed. The numbers went beyond the scale. Stood up, his face twisted with anger. The machine is broken, he shouted. There is no way a soft skin registers higher than a. Ignored him. He walked to, his hands trembling slightly. Stand, please, he said. Stood, he looked calm, but could see his pulse beating fast in his neck. Scanned him. The same result. Bone density, extreme. Threat level, unable to calculate. Now the cadets were whispering to each other. Fear had replaced mockery. The shrank back in their seats. The clicked nervously. Even the other looked uncertain. How is this possible? Someone asked. Stared at the two humans. His glowing scales had dimmed, a sign of stress in his species. The machine measures potential, he said slowly. Not training, not skill, but raw biological capability. What the body is capable of at its absolute limit. He looked then at. These humans, their bodies are weapons. Every cell, every fiber, every nerve. They are built for survival in ways we cannot comprehend. Pushed forward through the crowd. That is nonsense. They are weak. I have fought humans before. They break easily. Turned to look at him. Her voice was quiet but steady. Did you fight a human who was trying to kill you, or did you fight a human who was following rules? The room went silent again. Stared at her, his four fists clenched. He had no answer. Cleared his throat. The scanner measures potential threat under maximum stress. When a human is calm, they appear weak, but when they are pushed to their limit. He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. A cadet raised a trembling tentacle. Instructor, you said Earth was under quarantine. Is this why? Nodded slowly. The Coalition discovered Earth 300 years ago. We sent scout ships to observe. None of them returned. The whispers grew louder. Cadets looked at and with new eyes. We do not know what happened to those ships, continued. We only know that after they disappeared, the Coalition voted to quarantine Earth, to leave humans alone, to never provoke them. "Then why are they here?" demanded. "Why bring them to our academy?" Turned off the scanner. The red lights faded, but the fear in the room did not. Because some in the coalition believe that humans can be allies, that their strength can be used to protect us rather than destroy us. He paused. Others believe we are making a terrible mistake. Looked around the room. She saw the fear in their eyes. She saw how they looked at her now, not as a primitive creature to mock, but as something unknown and dangerous. She did not want them to fear her. She just wanted to be treated as an equal. But as she sat back down, she realized something had changed forever. The secret was out. The galaxy knew what humans really were. And nothing would ever be the same. Leaned over and whispered, "Well, that was interesting." Despite everything, almost smiled. That is one word for it. Across the room was still staring at her. His eyes were full of hate and something else, something that looked like the beginning of a plan. Met his gaze and did not look away. Whatever came next, she would be ready. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The bioscanner stood silent now, but its results hung in the air like a storm cloud. Was the first to break the silence. He stepped forward, his forearms spread wide, his voice loud and angry. "This is a lie," he shouted. "The humans have cheated somehow. They have tampered with the machine." Raised a hand. "The scanner cannot be tampered with. It measures pure biological data." "Then it is broken," insisted. "There is no way these creatures are more dangerous than warriors. Look at them. They are soft. They are small. They have only 2 arms." He pointed at with one thick finger. She did not flinch. "I have studied humans," continued. "I have watched recordings of their battles. They are clever, yes. They use weapons and tricks, but in a fair fight body against body they are nothing. Nothing." The other cadets watched nervously. Some nodded along with. Others looked uncertain. The bioscanner results had shaken everyone's understanding of the galaxy. Stayed in her seat. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her face calm. On Earth, she had learned to control her emotions. Anger made you stupid. Fear made you weak. Calmness was power. Walked closer to her. His shadow fell across her desk. "I challenge you," he said. "A demonstration duel. Plasma rods, non-lethal setting. We fight in front of everyone, and we prove once and for all which species is superior." Looked up at him. His eyes were red with anger and his gray skin was dark with blood. He wanted to hurt her. He wanted to humiliate her in front of the entire class. "And if I refuse?" she asked quietly. Smiled. It was an ugly smile. "Then everyone will know the truth. Humans are cowards who hide behind broken machines." Stood up beside her. "This is wrong," he said too. "He is looking for an excuse to hurt her. He already put in medical." Considered this. His yellow eyes moved between and. "Cadet's challenge is within Academy rules," he said finally. "Any cadet may request a demonstration duel to resolve disputes. Cadet Park has the right to refuse, but..." He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. If refused, everyone would think humans were weak. The bioscanner results would be forgotten. Things would go back to how they were before, except worse. Stood up slowly. She was not tall, not compared to most of the aliens in the room, but something in the way she moved made step back slightly. "I accept," she said. The room exploded with noise. Cadets shouted and whispered and argued with each other. Some seemed excited. Others seemed worried. A few looked at with something like respect. Raised his hands for silence. "The duel will take place in Training Arena 4. We will move there now. All cadets will observe." The class began to file out of the lecture hall. Grabbed's arm. "You do not have to do this," he said. "Let them think what they want." Shook her head. "If I back down now, they will never stop. We'll keep pushing until he hurts someone else. Maybe you, maybe again." She looked into his eyes. "I have to do this." Was silent for a moment, then he nodded. Then fight smart, is strong but he is arrogant, he will underestimate you. I know, Sid, that is what I am counting on. They walked together through the long corridors of Station Horizon. The walls were white and curved, and windows showed the endless black of space outside. Stars glittered like diamonds in the distance. Training Arena 4 was a large circular room with a soft floor designed to absorb impacts. Seating surrounded the fighting area on all sides, rising up like stairs. By the time arrived, the seats were almost full. Word had spread fast. She saw faces she recognized, huddled together nervously. Cadets clicked their mandibles in anticipation. Meridians watched with glowing, unreadable eyes, and in the front row, surrounded by other, waited with his arms crossed and his smile wide. A training officer handed a plasma rod. It was about 1 meter long, glowing faintly blue. On its lowest setting, it would sting but not burn. On higher settings, it could cut through metal. Non-lethal only, the officer reminded her. First cadet to yield or fall unconscious loses. Took the rod and tested its weight. It was lighter than she expected. She had trained with similar weapons on Earth, but human plasma technology was different from coalition technology. Took his rod and swung it through the air a few times. The blue glow left trails in the dim light. He was showing off, making sure everyone could see his power. Walked to the center of the arena. The floor was firm but springy under her feet, good for movement, good for dodging. Walked to face her. Up close, he was even bigger than she remembered. Each of his 4 arms was as thick as her whole body. His gray skin was covered in old scars from past battles. "I will try not to hurt you too badly," he said loudly, so everyone could hear. "I want you to be awake when you admit humans are inferior." Did not respond. She adjusted her grip on the plasma rod and took a deep breath. In her mind, she went through everything she knew about fighting styles. They were powerful but predictable. They relied on overwhelming force rather than technique. And they had one weakness that nobody talked about. They were slow. Fast by galactic standards, yes, but not fast by human standards, not even close. Stood at the edge of the arena. He raised one glowing hand. "When my hand falls," he announced, "the duel begins. Fight with honor, fight within the rules." Noticed that his eyes lingered on when he said that last part. The arena went silent. 500 cadets held their breath. The lights dimmed slightly, making the plasma rods glow brighter. Sat in the front row, his hands gripping his knees. He had faith in, but he was still afraid. Was a killer. Everyone knew it. He had sent 3 cadets to medical this semester alone, always claiming accidents. Stood perfectly still. Her eyes were fixed on his chest, not his face. On Earth, she had learned that the chest always moved before the limbs. You could predict an attack by watching the center of the body. His hand fell. The duel began. Roared and charged forward, all 4 arms swinging. The crowd gasped at his speed, his power, his fury. Did not move, not yet. She waited, counting the heartbeats, measuring the distance. 3 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. Now. She moved, not backward, not sideways, but forward, directly into his attack. His eyes went wide with surprise. Nobody moved toward a charge. It was suicide. But was already under his guard, inside the reach of his arms, too close for his plasma rod to hit her. She jabbed her own rod into his stomach, right where his 4 arms connected to his body. The sensitive nerve cluster that every protected. Screamed and stumbled backward, danced away before his arms could grab her. The crowd was silent with shock. First blood to the human. Straightened up, pain and rage mixing on his face. His eyes had changed. The arrogance was gone. Now there was only hatred. And in his upper right hand, hidden until now, something small began to glow. A wrist launcher. Plasma bolt. Lethal setting. The weapon that had no place in a training duel. saw it a heartbeat before he fired. She saw his finger move, saw the glow intensify, saw the small ball of superheated energy leave his wrist and fly toward her chest. Time slowed down, and Park made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. The plasma bolt flew through the air like a tiny sun. It was beautiful in a terrible way, bright orange and white, trailing heat and light behind it. At this distance, at this speed, it would burn a hole through his chest. It would kill her before she hit the ground. The crowd saw it happen. They saw fire. They saw the bolt fly. Some of them screamed. Some of them closed their eyes. One fainted, but did not scream. She did not close her eyes. She did not freeze with fear like any sensible creature would. Instead, she moved. Her body reacted before her mind could think. Millions of years of evolution had prepared her for this moment. Her ancestors had dodged predators, survived disasters, and fought wars against impossible odds. That history lived in her blood, in her bones, in every fiber of her being. Time seemed to slow. The plasma bolt crawled through the air like it was moving through water, could see every detail, the way the heat rippled around it, the way sparks danced along its surface, the way it spun slightly as it flew. She stepped to the side, not far, just enough. The bolt passed her chest by a few centimeters. But she was not done. Her hand moved, fast, faster than anything the cadets had ever seen. Her fingers closed around the plasma bolt like she was catching a ball thrown by a child. The bolt stopped. Time returned to normal speed. The arena was completely silent. No one breathed. No one moved. 500 pairs of eyes stared at the impossible thing they had just witnessed. Park stood in the center of the arena, with a ball of superheated plasma in her bare hand. It burned, of course it burned. The temperature was over 1,000 degrees. The pain was incredible, worse than anything she had ever felt. She could smell her own skin cooking. But she did not let go. On Earth, humans had a saying, pain is just weakness leaving the body. It was not entirely true, but it helped. Focused on that thought, used it to push the pain into a small corner of her mind where it could not control her. She looked at the plasma bolt in her hand. It crackled and sparked, trying to escape, trying to expand, trying to do what it was designed to do: destroy. Tightened her grip. The bolt collapsed, the energy dispersed, the light faded. All that was left was smoke rising from her burned palm and the smell of scorched flesh. She had crushed it. The silence stretched on for what felt like hours. Then someone in the crowd made a sound, a small, terrified whimper. It broke the spell. Stumbled backward. His legs were shaking. His eyes were wide with pure animal fear. Every instinct in his body was screaming at him to run, to flee, to get as far away from this creature as possible. "That is," he whispered, "that is not possible." Looked up at him. Her face was calm, but her eyes were not. Her eyes were dark and cold like the space between stars, the eyes of a predator. "On Earth," she said, her voice steady despite the pain, "we catch worse than this before breakfast." Made a sound that was half scream, half sob. He dropped his plasma rod and ran. He actually ran, pushing past other cadets, knocking over chairs, desperate to escape. The greatest warrior in the academy ran from a human girl half his size. No one tried to stop him. No one could move. Was the first to recover. He walked slowly toward, his scales flickering with colors that showed confusion and fear and something that might have been awe. "Your hand," he said. "We need to get you to medical." Looked at her palm. The skin was red and blistered, raw in places, black in others. It would leave scars. She did not care. "I can walk," she said. She walked out of the arena on her own feet, head held high. She did not look at the crowd. She did not need to see their faces to know what they were thinking. Behind her, the silence finally broke into chaos. Cadets shouted questions. Instructors demanded explanations. Someone was crying. Someone else was laughing hysterically. Caught up with her in the corridor outside. His face was pale and his hands were trembling. He said, I have no words. Neither do I, she admitted. I did not plan it, my body just moved. You caught a plasma bolt with your bare hand. Yes. How? Stopped walking. She looked at her burned hand, at the destroyed flesh, at the damage that would take weeks to heal. I do not know, she said honestly. I just knew I could not let it hit me, and then I knew I could not let it continue, so I stopped it. Shook his head slowly. She needs to hear about this. They walked together toward the medical wing. Along the way, cadets moved aside to let them pass, not mocking this time, not laughing. They pressed themselves against the walls and watched with wide, frightened eyes. The news was spreading. Within hours, every creature on Station Horizon would know what had happened in Training Arena 4. Within days, the story would reach other stations, other planets, other systems. A human caught a plasma bolt. A human crushed a ball of fire in her bare hand. A human made a warrior run in terror. When they reached medical, was already sitting up in her bed. She had heard the commotion from her room. What happened? She demanded. Why is everyone running around like the station is on fire? Held up her burned hand. I got into a fight. His eyes went wide. Then she started to laugh. It was a genuine laugh, full of joy and disbelief and pride. You crazy woman, she said. Tell me everything. A medical drone flew over and began treating his hand. The pain was sharp as the machine cleaned the wound and applied healing gel, but barely noticed. She was too busy telling about the duel. When she got to the part about catching the plasma bolt, his laughter stopped. Her face became serious. You should not have been able to do that, she said quietly. The heat alone should have destroyed your hand instantly. I know, said. Your body just decided to survive. That is the only way I can explain it. Was quiet for a long moment, then she nodded slowly. That is what humans do, she said. We survive no matter what. Sat down on the edge of his bed. The question now is what happens next. Used a lethal weapon in a training duel. That is a serious crime. He will be punished, agreed, but that is not the real problem. No, said. The real problem is that everyone saw what I did. Everyone knows what humans are capable of now. She looked out the window at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there was Earth, her home, the planet the galaxy had quarantined for 300 years. They were afraid of us before, she said softly. Now they are terrified. She did not know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. But she knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The academy moved fast. Within an hour of the duel was in custody. Within 2 hours, all 3 human cadets were in the medical wing being examined by a team of the station's best doctors. Within 3 hours, the results were sent directly to the Academy Council. And within 4 hours, the entire station knew the truth. Lay on a medical bed while machines scanned every part of her body, beside her and went through the same process. The doctors were Meridians mostly, with a few assisting. They worked in silence, their faces grim. The head doctor was named. He was old for a Meridian, his scales faded to a pale blue-green, but his eyes were sharp. The results are complete, he said finally. I need to speak with you 3 privately. He closed the doors and darkened the windows. The medical drones hovered silently in the corners of the room. I have been a doctor for 200 years, began. I have studied over 300 species. I thought I understood biology. I thought I understood what living creatures could and could not do. He pulled up a holographic display. It showed 3 human bodies, their organs and bones and muscles lit up in different colors. I was wrong. Pointed at the bone structure first. Human bones are not just dense. They are reinforced in ways we have never seen before. Microfractures heal almost instantly, making the bones stronger each time. Your skeletons are constantly improving themselves. He moved to the muscles. Your muscle fibers can expand to nearly double their normal size under stress. This is controlled by chemicals in your blood that respond to fear and anger. When you are threatened, your bodies literally become stronger. Nodded, we call it adrenaline. Adrenaline, repeated. Yes, we have studied this chemical, but we did not understand what it could do in the right circumstances. He pointed to the brain scans next. Your neural pathways are extremely efficient. Your reflexes are faster than any species in the coalition, and your brains can process information at speeds that should be impossible for organic tissue. Frowned, we do not feel fast or strong, not compared to other cadets. That is because you are holding back, said. Always, every moment of every day. Your bodies have limiters, safety controls built into your nervous systems. They prevent you from hurting yourselves. He paused. But when those limiters are removed, when you are pushed to your absolute maximum, you become something else entirely. Looked at her bandaged hand. The healers had done their work, but the scars would remain, a reminder of what she had done. That is how I caught the plasma bolt, she said. My body removed its own limits. Exactly. His voice was quiet now. In that moment, you were not fighting to win. You were fighting to survive. Your body responded by unlocking capabilities that should not exist. Laughed bitterly, so we are monsters. No, said firmly. You are survivors. Your planet tried to kill you for millions of years and you refused to die. That is not monstrous. That is remarkable. He closed the holographic display and sat down heavily on a chair. He suddenly looked very tired. There is more, he said. The Council has ordered me to release a classified file, something that has been hidden from the Academy, from most of the Coalition, for 300 years. He pulled up a new display. It showed a star map with Earth at the center, surrounded by a red circle. The Earth Quarantine Zone, he said. You know that early scout ships were sent to observe your planet. You know that none of them returned, but you do not know what happened to them. Leaned forward, what happened? Took a deep breath. 23 ships were sent to Earth over a period of 50 years. Each one was destroyed, not by military weapons, not by missiles or lasers or plasma cannons. The technology was too primitive for that. He brought up images of wreckage. Ships torn apart, hulls broken open, crew compartments ripped like paper. The humans used whatever they had: chemical explosives, projectile weapons, fire. In one case, a ship was brought down by a coordinated attack using aircraft that should not have been able to reach that altitude. They shot down spacecraft with planes, asked, disbelief in his voice. They strapped explosives to the planes and flew them directly into the ships, said. The pilots did not survive. They did not expect to survive. They gave their lives to protect their planet from what they saw as invaders. The room was silent. The Coalition did not quarantine Earth because humans were primitive, continued. They quarantined Earth because humans were terrifying. A species that would sacrifice themselves without hesitation to destroy an enemy they could not possibly defeat. A species that refused to surrender, refused to negotiate, refused to accept that they were outmatched. He looked at the three humans with something like wonder in his ancient eyes. The Coalition has conquered thousands of worlds. We have never encountered anything like humanity. You do not fight to win. You fight until there is nothing left of you or your enemy, and you do it with a smile. His expression was strange, pride and sadness mixed together. We call it never giving up, she said. It is considered a virtue on Earth. Here it is considered insanity, said. Beautiful, terrifying insanity. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, stars sparkled in the eternal night of space. The Council has decided to release this information to the entire Academy, he said. By tomorrow, Every cadet will know what you are, what your species is capable of. Felt cold, they will be afraid of us. Yes, turn back to face them. But fear can become respect, and respect can become alliance. The coalition faces threats that even our greatest warriors cannot defeat. Perhaps, he hesitated, perhaps humanity is the answer we have been looking for. Shook his head slowly. You kept us quarantined for 300 years, you called us primitive, you laughed at us in classes, and now you want our help. I understand your anger, said. I cannot speak for the coalition's past decisions. I can only tell you what I see now. 3 young humans who have more strength, more courage, and more potential than any cadets I have ever examined. Stood up from her bed. Her legs were steady, her eyes fierce. If the coalition wants our help, they will have to earn it. They will have to treat us as equals, not as experiments or curiosities or weapons to be used. That is fair, agreed, more than fair. Looked at her friends. Calm and thoughtful, fierce and proud. They were so different, but they were bound together by their shared humanity. She thought about Earth, about her family, her friends, the billions of people who had no idea that a galactic civilization existed beyond their sky. Someday, she might be able to tell them. Someday, the quarantine might be lifted. But that day was not today. Today she had a choice to make, hide what she was or embrace it. She stood up and faced. Tell the council we are not their weapons, she said. We are not their servants, we are humans, and if they want to work with us, they will do it on our terms. Smiled. It was the first smile she had ever seen on a Meridian face. I will tell them, he said, and I think they will listen. Outside the medical wing, the station buzzed with rumors and fear and wonder. The galaxy was changing, and at the center of that change were 3 young humans who had finally shown the universe what they were made of. Survivors, fighters, humans. And they were just getting started.